Hello everyone, and welcome to a new episode of my Melandru's Accord adventures! In the last episode, when I first created this character, that also meant I had to say goodbye to my previous main, Torika Go Song. I mean, I could just keep playing on both accounts, but I prefer to put my entire attention into one main character when it comes to Presearing, so it had to be done. And I'm glad I can fully focus on the Melandru Ranger now. That leaves one thing unfinished though. If I'm no longer playing Torika Go Song, then what's gonna happen with the Grail series? I'm 14 episodes in, we're nearing the end. Do I cancel it? Do I go back to my previous ranger to finish it? Do I finish it on this character? And I thought about it, and even though I'm over 90% completed with the challenge, if I did come back to finish it on my old main, it would still most likely take years to get those final items, since it's all the rarest ones left. So instead, I will be restarting the challenge from scratch, with the same rules and the same spreadsheet, just on my Melandru Ranger. I'm gonna have to do a lot of charr runs anyway for my items, so the challenge will fit nicely into it, and I think it will be really fun. I'm sure we'll be back to 90% in no time, right? So anyway, since we're starting again, let me explain the rules one more time so everyone can follow along. The Presearing Grail is a challenge very heavily inspired by the Diablo 2 Holy Grail challenge, where I try to find every item in Presearing. That means all the weapons, offhands, runes and insignia, all the dice, a charr bag, charr kit, and all the rare salvage. For the weapons and offhands, if the item can drop as purple, it has to be purple, otherwise it has to be blue. And as a personal goal, I also want to find a dead staff with a ritualist modifier. I've been trying to get one for years now, and it's the only item that has a specific mod requirement. And that's it! 170 total items to fill in, so I better get started, and I hope you'll enjoy. Hey everyone, I just finished editing the intro, and guess what happened in the meantime? The dungeon came out. I already made a separate video with my thoughts about the new Presearing dungeon called My Thoughts About the New Presearing Dungeon, and I don't want to repeat myself here too much, so I'll just briefly go over the stuff that directly affects this progress series and the Grail. You can watch the video if you want to know my detailed opinion about the update, but in short, I really don't like the dungeon giving out max weapons, and I think Presearing is much less fun because of them, so I used the newly added shrine in Ascalon to disable the reforged mode, and going forward it will most likely stay that way, unless there are some drastic changes to the dungeon's loot table. What this means is I will essentially be playing classic Presearing, no new content, no Pyken, no hero, no dungeon. Nothing changes for the Grail, I'm not adding the new items, and from now on, if I ever decide to enable the reforged mode, I will mention it in a video and I will update the Grail accordingly. Also, since up until now I did play with the reforged mode turned on, that will most likely make me ineligible for the veteran badge if it ever gets added, because I made some progress in the survivor title when I had the mode enabled. And if that happens, then, well, that'll be a shame, but I don't want to restart anymore. Thankfully, I have this YouTube series where I document my character's progress, so let the record show that I turned off the reforged mode at level 9, I'm only in the Melandru gang now, and if I don't get the shiny badge in the future, then at least I'll still have the videos to show my journey. Alright, yapping levels are off the charts today, but I wanted to address everything, so let's go play the game finally. I'm level 9, which means that barely anything I can find south of the wall gives me any experience anymore, so today we will be venturing to the northlands for the very first time. But first, I wanna grab some skills real quick. You can learn all of your primary profession skills and most of your secondary profession skills by just talking to the trainers in the area and accepting their quests, so I can talk with Ivor over here and accept a test of marksmanship, and he will teach me Read the Wind and Point Blank Shot, and Aidan in Wizard's Folly teaches Ignite Arrows and Dual Shot. And that's all of the ranger skills, but we can still grab some complementary secondary profession ones. Haha, another talking segment? You bet! Before you can pick a secondary profession, you have to complete a short introductory quest to that profession. So for the rangers, it's the Ranger's Companion, for example, and accepting the quest also lets you try out some of that profession's skills. Ranger's Companion lets you try Charm Animal, Comfort Animal, and Troll Unguent, which is probably the strongest choice. But I already am a ranger, so for me I have a choice between the Monk's Mission for the Bane Signet and Horizon of Healing, Mesmer's Burden for Conjure Phantasm, Imagined Burden, and Ether Feast, Necromancer's Novice for Animate Bone Horror, Life Siphon, and Deathly Swarm, the Elementalist's Experiment for Aura of Restoration, Glyph of Lesser Energy, and Firestorm, and the Grail Invasion. I guess they couldn't think of a cool warrior quest name, but anyway, the Grail Invasion for Sever Artery, Gash, and Healing Signet. Since you only get to try out the skills, and you don't get access to the attributes, the skills are permanently at 0 attributes, so while Firestorm might sound nice for example, it doesn't deal all that much damage at 0 fire magic. You can swap between all the different profession skills until you commit to a secondary profession, and I don't want to commit just yet, so for now I will be picking the Mesmer skills. I plan to play it safe in the Northlands, and Ether Feast healing for 60 sounds pretty good. This is the build I'm going to the Northlands with, 8 Wilderness Survival and 2 Marksmanship. As I said, I'm going full on defensive. The grind can be slow, but I want to maximize my survivability. Last look at the still unexplored Northlands, and it's time to go! I don't think I can take any group of charr at this point, so I stick to the safer side of the Northlands, and naturally I visited Picken to see what it looks like without the reforged mode. And it seems like I can enter the new part of Northlands. It will probably be empty without any of the new NPCs, but it's still cool to explore. It seems like the dungeon entrance that's supposed to be closed off and only open after I complete the first quest in the chain is open for me, and it will probably not even let me enter, but you know what? I don't even wanna try. I will not even try. I will just walk away. I don't want anything to do with this place. The folks in the Presearing Discord are saying that you can enter the dungeon as non-reforged, but you can only access level 1, which should be fine. The first floor doesn't drop the max weapons or the golds, but I would have to do more research on it on a separate account probably, so for now, I'm not going in. My map won't have the dungeon icon for a long time, if ever. As expected, there is no monsters here, but the new area is gorgeous. If nothing else, then at least it's gonna be great for some thumbnail pictures. Back to the good old classic Northlands though, and here's the very first drop for the grail. A brown die. 1 down, 169 to go. And speaking of dice actually, I got my first black die a few days ago. It was actually a couple of hours before I recorded the grail intro, so it doesn't count for the grail. Don't worry, we'll get plenty more. But it's still a really cool drop, my first black die on the Melandru, so I had to include it. Here's level 10, and you already know what that means. I can pick up my first Vanguard quest, and the timing is very nice because today's daily is Countess Nadia. Countess Nadia is actually one of the hardest Vanguard quests to do, but I don't plan on doing it, at least not yet. I said it works out nicely because the quest itself takes place in Regent's Valley, which means strong quest monsters and the boss spawn there, and I am farming the Northlands, so that works out really well. I can keep the quest active, and I don't have to deal with the consequences. And whenever you have a Vanguard quest active in your quest log, you get a buff called the Vanguard Initiate, which sets your armor to a predetermined static value. The starter armor I have right now gives 10 armor, but while I have the Vanguard Initiate buff active, it will be increased based on my level. 25 armor at levels 10 to 13, 40 armor at levels 14 to 16, and 55 armor at levels 17 and above. And if you're curious, going from 10 to 25 armor basically means I'm taking 23% less damage. Now, with level 10 and the buff, I feel a lot more confident to start taking on some charr, and by some, I mean 3. And by 3, I mean 1 charr, and then if that goes well, 2 charr, not all 3 at once. Charr always travel in packs, usually it's a group of 4, there are a couple groups of 3, but right here by the altar, In the most dangerous part of the Northlands, there is a singular charr and then a group of 2 that I should be able to pull safely if I take care to avoid the patrols. There's 2 more groups of 2 behind the altar, but those might be too difficult to pull, so I'll just stick to those 3 I just mentioned. Here's the first charr kill. Easy stuff. Ooh. I got excited for a second, but it's pretty much the same as mine. And that's the pack of 2. Nice! With 64 XP per charr, that is much faster than the 16 XP I'm getting per O card. Farming the single and double charr groups is going pretty good, so I've been thinking about trying out the 3-pack, and if anything goes wrong, I can always just tell you out, right? Alright, nice, looks like I can do the 3-pack too. I had to kill one, run away, reset, and then come back. And my damage is pretty low, so I'm not sure if I could do it if the group had a shaman, but looks like I can do the 3-pack too. I really doubt I can take on the full group of 4 charr though. And so I continued running these very selective charr runs. Well, they still consisted mostly of O cards, let's be honest. I tried using Ben to help me with the bigger groups, but he would just die, so I stopped doing that and just stick to what I could already do. And until I could get a better bow or some levels, I was just glad I found some way to progress. Here's the very first purple on the account, a purple forked sword. Sad it's not a bow, but I'm sure they'll come. Over the course of a bunch of runs, all the red iris flowers on the way to the gate really do add up, and I just got enough to buy myself a small equipment pack. Backspace upgrades on Melandru characters are incredibly important, and this one lets me store up to 5 weapons or pieces of armor. It's not immediately useful, but I'm sure it will fill up over time, essentially saving me 5 backspaces for other stuff. It's 10th of April today, the Sweet Treats week just started, and I got a golden egg. And golden eggs are really cool. When used, they give +1 to all attributes for 30 minutes and +1 sweet point. But most importantly, when you pick up a golden egg, you get 1 point towards the Treasure Hunter title. The title is account-wide, so any character on your account can contribute to the counter, but picking up golden eggs is the only way to progress that title in Presearing. And it was one of the main reasons why I made a separate account for this Melandru character. I only have this character, and I won't create any new ones, so every single point will be obtained by this Presearing Melandru Ranger, essentially turning this account-wide title into a character-only title. And I'm really excited about this, so let's finally pick up that egg. Sadly, just like the name suggests, the Sweet Treats week only lasts a week, and my character isn't strong enough to just go ham on farming eggs. I mean, I could, but shortly after the Sweet Treats week ends, the anniversary event starts. April is very exciting for Presearing players. So I think I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. I'll keep farming charr to get stronger for the anniversary, and every egg I get will just be a bonus. I'll go hard on farming them next year. Yellow die. Here's level 11, and from now on, O cards won't give me any XP anymore, so it's just gonna be charr and then Vanguard quests until 20. I remember there is another group of 3 charr here in the eastern part of the Northlands too, so I started going to them, and I just got rewarded with my very first purple bow. It's a short bow, which isn't ideal because they have 2/3 of the range of a longbow, but 10 to 16 damage is a massive improvement over 7 to 10. That's a huge upgrade. So let's see what the mod is. Oh my god! Oh my fucking god! My very first purple bow is an 18% charr slaying. I'm lost for words. On my previous ranger, I've been hunting this for years. I've never gotten an 18% charr slaying. The best I got, the only bow mod for charr slaying I got was 17%. I've just been staring at this thing. It's unbelievable that I got an 18% charr slaying bow spoon-fed to me at level 11. The main goal for this character down the road will be getting a perfect bow in Presearing, and we're still very far away from that. I still need to find a 12 to 20 bow and roll a good inherent mod, but I've just been given a big chunk of the puzzle and I'm really happy. And it should speed up leveling now by a lot. I tested the new bow on a few charr and the damage is a lot higher, so I wanted to see if now I could take on the full group of 4 charr with Ben, and we did it! So the Northlands is very much opened up now. Well, as long as Ben doesn't get comboed out, then I'll have to reset. Here's some more drops I got for the challenge: an ornate buckler, a green dye, a cane with the domination skin, and a holy staff. I managed to get 25 charr carvings, which is great timing because that's today's sneak item, and until today, the charr carving request was the only one I couldn't do. Ooh, a purple longbow. Is this gonna be charr slaying too? Jeez, literally never lucky. Nice! That's my first white dye. White's my favorite color, and on my previous ranger I had my entire armor dyed white. Originally for this character, I wanted to go all black everything because, you know, that's more of a flex, I guess. But after thinking about it, I think I'll go with full white armor again. I really liked that look. So, long story short, this is white dye 1 out of 5 for the full armor. Level 12, plus 20 health and 10 attribute points, slowly getting stronger. I guess that's a little interesting. That's my first purple dupe, another purple forked sword. Starting from level 12, we also get to see the LDOA title track appear in the hero tab, signifying that I'm officially well on my way to becoming a legendary defender of Ascalon. And with that nice accent, I think I'll be wrapping up the video here. The anniversary event usually starts on the 22nd of April, which is still over a week away while I'm recording this, and I learned that I will be pretty busy in the coming week, so I want to focus on my real-life responsibilities so that I can play my heart out when the anniversary comes. I'll still try to play here and there, and if anything noteworthy happens, like if I get a level or a cool drop, I'll make sure to include that at the beginning of the next episode. It's been a pretty slow start to the grail, and that's mostly because I can still barely kill charr. We're finishing today at 10 items found out of 170, but I know for a fact that as soon as I can do full Northlands clears, this number will skyrocket to like 60%, and then it will start slowing down. But I do have a pretty decent weapon to keep going. I still don't believe I got an 18% charr slaying bow grip for my first purple bow. Anyway, that's enough talking for today. Thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, hope you'll have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.